Welcome to my channel, AtienOgolla the lawyer. Karibuni sana. I know I've been taking breaks in between vlogging, but yeah, here we are again. And today we're going to be talking about the AtienOgolla Bar Lessons. We started our first cohort on 4th of January and they were able to sit for the exams in June of 2021. And today I have one of my students who had enrolled to the lessons, and we're going to talk about the experience at the AtienOgolla Bar Lessons. So if you enjoy this video, like, share, and subscribe. Okay, thank you so much, Patroba, for agreeing to come today.
Thank you for the invite. It's a pleasure.
Okay, so maybe first of all you could introduce yourself to my viewers today.
My name is Patroba Omwenga. I am a recent student. I did my bar exams in 2017. I did not do as well as expected, but since the enrolling of your classes from the January 4th, 2021, we have managed to do something, and we just concluded the bar exam, and we hope for the best.
Okay, so first you could start by telling the viewers, how did you know about the AtienOgolla Bar Lessons?
I remember that was in December 2020, where I saw an advertisement on Facebook, and I reached out to you, and you sent me programs on how the content shall be distributed. You sent me the topics, you sent me the units, and when I went through them, I felt like this was a viable program to subscribe to. Okay. And considering there was a breakage, or rather breaking down of how the topics will be conducted and how much time it would take. There was also a breakage of the syllabus. I also saw the past papers, and I was like, this is the best opportunity.
Okay. Yes. So then we can now move to your experience. First of all, which units were you doing?
I was doing commercial transactions, criminal litigation, professional ethics, and legal writing and drafting. Okay,
then we can start by talking about commercial transactions. How was your experience with the tutor, the content delivery? How was the class generally for you?
I remember the first class for this program was actually commercial, and it was taught by Emmanuel. And basically, I remember the first rule was, he said, we must read the act. The various acts that are there, from the Companies Act to the Insolvency Act to the MPSR Act. And I think it was the best experience, because when we recently did the exam, it was basically what we had learned, because you find that the teacher, literally, we went through the act. So when the exam came, it was basically copy-pasting the act on the answer booklet, and we hope for the best. So commercial was basically on our fingertips as students.
Okay.
Yes.
And legal writing, how was legal writing?
Now, legal writing has always been the scariest paper in my own personal experience. I was very scared of it.
Why so?
Because legal writing can be very tricky. You cannot be sure. So we had a teacher by the name Cindy Dana, and the first days were quite tough, especially doing legal writing online. Everybody is asking questions. Everybody is feeling like this is a tough one. But within time, we were able to get the tempo. And also when the exam came, it is the exact same things that Cindy Dana was telling us. Question 1 came, drafting a bill. A bill is what we drafted from January 4th to the last day. We were drafting bills. The other question was a legal opinion, of which Cindy Dana taught us when you're drafting legal opinions, you must be clear doing the FILAC method. I think you've also taught us the FILAC method. There were also issues on demand letters, of which I believe demand letters is something that as a legal student you should be able to draft. And also there was a contract for sale, of which we used even the knowledge in commercial and drafting agreements. We still used it on legal writing. So basically, like, also other units played in us being able to tackle the exam.
Okay. And what about criminal litigation? I think you've had criminal litigation, people are complaining about it, but what could be your opinion about criminal litigation as compared to what you're taught and how the exam was?
Now, the criminal litigation paper, honestly, it was a quite challenging paper. But at the end of the day, when I sat down and looked at the question paper, I realized that a student who had been reading constantly, attending class constantly. I remember John Dianga is the one who taught us criminal. Anyone who attended his class constantly and loyally, I think that would be a paper that you can tackle. Because everything that he taught us came in the paper, but the paper was a bit twisted. But either way, the content that he gave us, plus the questions we had done from 208, because you know in criminal, not so many things change. So we had done past papers from 208 coming through to 2019. I think that would be enough for you to pass. Okay. Yes.
Okay. And what about professional ethics? I remember I was the one teaching you professional ethics.
Definitely, professional ethics was an enjoyable paper. It asked us questions on LSK, which we were able to talk about. It asked us about pro bono issues. And also I remember you really did not focus on the Advocates Act as such, but you expanded our knowledge base, where you insisted on subsidiary legislation, from SOPEC to the Leadership and Integrity Act to the Judicial Code of Conduct to Bangalore Principles to various other things, case laws. I remember you really sang about King Woolen Mills, Uhuru Highway versus CBK. I remember you sang about those cases. So it was basically a general knowledge on the legal profession. Yes.
Okay. And now also there's the conveyancing paper that people sat for, but also I'd like you to talk about what you've heard about conveyancing classes, because I think those were the most, let me say, famous classes by our tutor, Mr. Wasaga. What would you say about him? What have you heard about conveyancing tutor classes?
First of all, I have my friends who we had a WhatsApp group where we were trying to encourage each other. They were actually doing receipts in conveyancing. They nicknamed Wasaga the machine because they said that the way Wasaga was breaking down conveyancing, especially the transfer process, was in such a way that they've never had, but it was grasped on their fingertips. For students who had not heard of Wasaga by that time, and they were now looking for him during the last minute, Wasaga made them made the act come into their fingertips for the purpose of the exam. So there are many ways to pass this exam, and basically your tutors, I think they are heroes.
Oh, wow.
Unsung heroes.
For sure. For sure. I'll hold for them a bash.
For sure.
At the end of the year.
Amen.
Yes. And generally, how was your experience on online learning? Because you know it's a novel thing due to the COVID pandemic. Many institutions of learning had to move online. So how was your experience on online learning?
First of all, I did not know it would ever be realistic. Actually, my dad is a professor in ICT. He's called Professor Elijah Omwenga, and he's an online teaching expert. Honestly, I never knew I would be taking part in online learning. And I felt like there was more content while learning online as compared to learning physical.
Okay, why so?
Because in online learning, I remember when we were attending class, we cannot digress on what we are learning. If today we are doing habeas corpus in criminal, it is habeas corpus. We are not going to start talking stories like, you know, in physical, we tend to digress. Stories here and there. But in online learning, we know that we have limited time. We have this amount of time where content must be given, and it was the most impactful form of learning I've ever had. Especially with the 844. I'm part of 844. I think it is the best mode of learning.
Okay.
Yes. There was more content, there was more material, there was more questions that are relevant to what we are learning, and it was sometimes even there was extensions.
Yeah.
I remember when we had a class with Cindy Dana from 8 p.m. to 12. Pure legal writing.
Okay.
Pure legal writing.
Okay.
Yeah. So more content, more material, more knowledge.
Okay. So what should you advise the current students and recent students from your experience at the AtienOgolla Bar Lessons? First
of all, I remember when I was subscribing to your classes, I was really asking you, is the mode of learning going to be the same for receipt and regular students? Because I was like, receipt students, we are doing papers out of 100. Will you focus on us mainly, or what happens? At the end of the day, I realized it was the same, both for receipt and regular. The amount of knowledge that was impacted to us and the amount of content that was given to us was the same, and it is worth making you even get excess marks.
Excess, okay.
Than the pass mark. You know, most times receipt we're like, I just need to get 50%. But it reached a point where we were trusting the process. But now, before the exam, the process had to trust us.
The process had to trust you, okay.
Yes.
And what about the current students who are now at KSL? Because you know, of course, there's been the issue of the mass failure. And I think I shared with you my vision of AtienOgolla Bar Lessons. You're trying to reduce that notion and to say that bar exams are passable. So how can you advise them now that they're still early on, they're just in term 1?
I think we talked about the legislation that is in Parliament. We hope it goes through. You find that the current student is specifically tied that it is what is taught here, that is what I should just know. But that is not the case. I believe that legal education must be devolved. Despite you attending class, I believe programs like AtienOgolla Bar Lessons, and I don't know, there are other programs of which I have not heard of any, but I'm just thinking, apart from attending class in Kenya School of Law, it would also be prudent to also subscribe to AtienOgolla Bar Lessons. Once you're done with during the day in KSL, why don't you subscribe to AtienOgolla Bar Lessons? I can tell you for sure, you will not need to struggle when you going to the exam. Because what you're given in Kenya School of Law is basically just material. Go teach yourself now. A teacher will come there and just skim through. Now it is up to you. Now when I come to Atieno, Atieno is where I know she understands me. This is someone who has recent experience.
Yeah.
She will be able to tell me, hey, this content that you've given and this content I have, why don't we merge it, and you will see how you'll fare in the exam.
Okay. And considering now that they're doing their projects and orals, I know there's a lot of disturbance between firms. How will you advise them? Because you know project marks greatly contribute and orals.
Now, on the issue of project, I'm sorry to say this, I did not have a good firm in 2017. We really failed in the projects. A project like a paper like civil, we got 7 out of 20. In the orals, I remember I got 12. But now in the projects, you find that not everybody is up to the task. I'm also part of that issue. Or I stand guilty. So on the issue of projects, these are very important. It would give you an easy time when you're heading for the exam. Imagine heading to an exam where you have in a project you have 5, in an orals you have 5. In the exam you need to work for 40, surely. So projects are very important, and I believe also I saw you have a program on guidance on how to tackle projects, giving serious yes, I saw something of the sort.
Yeah, we are offering the project guidance and also oral exam preparation.
Oh yes.
Yes. So I think as students have heard from you, really they should take their project work very seriously, right?
Yes, because project work at some point will play a role in if you pass or fail. If you can imagine someone who has 18 in project work and has maybe 18 in orals.
Yeah, like for me, I was lucky. I think our firm, some of us had to put our feet down so that things are done well. And for sure, in our project work like conveyancing, we had 18. And already orals, I had 15. So I was working for very few marks. Even professional ethics, we had 17. Criminal, we had 17, despite our paper also being challenging. So indeed, I think students have had. They should work hard, to be able to achieve their maximum marks. Okay, so Patroba, you went through our system. You saw our, let me say, shortcomings. What would you advise me to be able to make the program more viable to the current cohort that is enrolling?
I think also you during that period you doubled up as a counselor.
Oh yeah, wow.
I remember there was a time that people became so overwhelmed. Especially when before the exams were postponed. There was some serious panic. I remember you became a counselor, and there was people who were opting, saying that, hey, yes, Atieno has taught us so much, but I feel like I'm scared that I may end up disappointing our program, because it reached a point where we felt like now the way we are moving as a group, as AtienOgolla Bar Lessons, we now have, this passing must be collective.
Yeah, for sure.
So some people who were felt like they were not ready, they were like, I need to pull out. I don't embarrass this group of ours. But either way, I remember you said, no. Just let's sail through. So I think maybe some improvements you need to make is being our counselor. But actually, when it comes to the books, the material, the mode of learning, mode of teaching, we are doing good. Especially, I remember we reached a point we were learning from 5 a.m. From 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. I remember I used to say, ini kujituma.
Yeah, for sure. I know you guys won't disappoint. We are waiting to break the record.
For sure.
Okay. And also, I know, Patroba, you have been seeing some people who are against this program, and of course we just, let me say we wait and see, because it says recipsa locita, the thing will speak for itself. Yeah, so what could you say in general about, like your parting shot, about the AtienOgolla Bar Lessons, how people should view it, and how we know we should encourage each other instead of tearing each other down.
First of all, if you have not experienced AtienOgolla Bar Lessons, I don't think you have the honors or the right to criticize. If you have an issue with it, or you feel like criticizing it, why don't you attend one class? Then you can see if you can give the same views of criticism that you want to give. I think that is the best I can say.
Yeah.
Because I remember there was a time you didn't have space to add people when we were learning.
Yeah.
Especially when senior Elvis Abenga was teaching us on trial advocacy.
Yeah.
Space ran out.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't expect where people are when one says that AtienOgolla Bar Lessons is this and that, criticizing, yet we have senior advocates coming and giving us talks. Some of them are teaching us. We had senior counsels in our WhatsApp group. I wouldn't understand why someone would criticize.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Thank you for setting that record straight. It's important, you know.
Also, just to add, I remember even we had a pupillage program towards the end where senior counsels came in and it gave us what to expect. Yeah, so for sure, I think people should actually look at the brighter side, you know, that we are trying to reduce the issue of mass failure, and you're trying to help students who need an extra hand, you know, in passing their exams. Because I think once you're done from KSL, there is no, like, let me say, program for accommodating research students who want to learn, unless you get someone to teach you, you know. And as you said, I think you told me you had an experience before this at AtienOgolla Bar Lessons. Was it equivalent to what we offered? Honestly, it was I'd say pata potea. You know, physical classes, by the time you take transport to town, by the time you sit down, by the time you're sweating, you're not mentally prepared. By the time the teacher comes, by the time everybody who's subscribed comes in, you know, now all subscribers, you must physically show up. By the time you sit down, by the time you look for a chair, by the time you start learning, it is 1 hour past.
Yeah.
But you see, with the AtienOgolla Bar Lessons we were strict.
Yeah.
There's a specific time.
Yeah.
Immediately, Sintidana begins.
Yeah.
Immediately, Ouma begins.
Yeah.
And it is just pure content, revision of papers, questions, drilling.
You can say, I think at some point even my tutors and I were saying we're like an academy, because students were just depending fully on us.
Fully on you.
Yeah.
Fully on you. I know some of my friends, they never used to read anything after those classes.
Okay.
So our people like commercial, they believe they survived purely on attending class.
Okay. Thank you so much, Patroba. It's been lovely having you for this session. And, you know, we want more people to go through the system and get out of the system, right?
Yes.
That is our desire. So thank you so much for this discussion. And, yes, we hope to interact more in future. And my viewers, tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe to the AtienOgolla Bar Lessons. We're enrolling for the second cohort. We have various services, as Patroba said. We are going through test papers. We have project work guidance, oral exam preparation, syllabus classes, one-on-one classes for those of you who love being taught alone. So we are here for you. Bar exams are passable, and we are a tutoring center, as you've heard, and we have let me say, tutors for all the units that are offered. So come one, but come all of you. Yes. So see you in the next video.